Welcome to LiveDaf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem. Welcome back to today's Daf Hayemi, NIDAH Chaf Gimel. We are holding around 15 lines off the top. V'chein Amar Reb Chia bar Abba. He quotes Amar Rabbi Yochanan. So this goes back to the yesterday's discussion. She miscarried, discharged something which has a formation of a behema or chayav oif, not a very human-like looking entity. According to the Chachamim, it's not considered a valid vlad to the extent that it would require her to observe the yemei tumah, the yemei tahara, the count, the post-birth count. Some days tummy, some days no, because it doesn't really qualify as a birth, unless it has human-like, substantial portion of human-like features. According to Reb Meir, yeah, that's true by other blobs and globs and masses, but if it appears like a behema chayav oif, that has status. Why? So we had the reason yesterday, and this is going to be echoed by Rabbi Yochanan as well. V'chein Amar Reb Chia bar Abba Amar Rabbi Yochanan. How many times did I'll tell you why Reb Meir considers this to be something of status. Hoyel v'nemra by yitzira k'adam, because we find the term yitzira, formation, linked to the creation of behema chayav oif, just like we find that same term by the Adam, by the human being. There's some similarity in terms of their levels of development. In any case, it has validity, and she's considered a birther. The mother is. Amar li Rabbi Ami. If that's the case, el miyatan apelas mushar. So if she discharges a formation, a mountain-like formation, so she should be tamei leda. It's like a birth, because we find a pasuk that relates the word yoitzer to the mountains. Amarle, she says, practically, har mikam mapela. So she giving birth to a mountain. It's a small thing, not a mountain. Even hidukam apelas. At most, it's just looks like a stone. Rashi says a chatichas basar with mus even. It's like a stone-like, looking mass of tissue. That's not a mountain. How gush ikri has a different name. It's called a gush, a mass. Even if it's triangular shaped, it's like a mountain. It's called a mass, not called a mountain. So it's not really something of status. Elabayata says the Gemara. Okay, so once again, another question. If she gives birth to ruach, to air, meaning there's a sack which is just full with air. Imay tehi imay tamei leda. She should be tamei leda. Hoyel v'nemar by bria ka'adam. We find the term bria, creation, regarding wind. Tichsiv ubayre ruach. Well, chiteva, perhaps they'll say la mufna. It's not an available word, and we concluded yesterday that we're only connecting things to Adam which cannot be challenged, and that's only by way of a gzeira shava. That's mufna, meaning that the words are unneeded for other purposes, intended for the gzeira shava only, which makes it as though it's clearly articulated in the Torah. You can't refute it. It's there. It's written. Otherwise, you can draw a line between Adam, who to begin with had a higher capacity for tumah. He becomes tummy even during his lifetime, as opposed to other creatures, only tummy after death. So for that reason, we can only link words that are mufna. And over here, the word ubayre doesn't seem to be extra. Echitema loy mufna. Perhaps you'll respond by saying it's not extra. But it is. Because take a look at the pasuk again. Kihine yoitzeir harim ubayre ruach. Forms the mountains, creates the wind. You have to say yoitzer harim and ubayre, and creates the ruach, the air. It could have packaged them both together under the same banner. It could have said yoitzer harim v'ruach. Hashem formed the mountains and the air. Uksiv, but it splits it. Instead, it says ubayre ruach. It's an extra word. That's a mufna. in which case it allows us a clear route to Gzera Shava between itself and the Adam. And just like Adam is Mitame Leida, likewise Ruach. So why don't we? Why don't we say, just like an Isha gives birth to a human, she counts Tumas Leida, same thing with giving birth to this Ruach. Amar Leisi says, well, where's that pasuk again? That's in Amos. That's in Ksuvim. We don't make a Gzera Shava from Chumash to Nevi'im and Ksuvim. Amar Lei Danin, we learn Divrei Torah, mi Divrei Torah. One word from the other word in the Torah, but Ve'ein Danin Divrei Torah, Divrei Kabbalah. We don't learn Divrei Torah from Divrei Kabbalah. So we can't make a Gzera Shava from words in Nevi'im, and therefore Pelas Ruach is absolved from Tumas Leida. Okay, so that was the first explanation why, according to Reb Meir, if she's Mapelas, something which appears like a behema, there's Tumas Leida, because the Torah articulates it as Yetzira, which is a similar term that's found by the human, which allows for that link, that Gzera Shava. Here comes another pshat. Rabba Bar Chama. Amar, he quotes Rabbi Yechon. How many times did Reb Meir? I'll tell you why Reb Meir applies status to a Mapelas behema. Hoil ve'neiim, because in their eyes they resemble human eyes, and the eyes are the predominant feature in a person's face, an animal's face. That's indicative of everything. Their eyes are similar to human eyes. Rashi explains, what does that mean? The iris have a ogle behema k'shel adam is round, just like by human, likewise by behema. But dagim, fish, we said are certainly exempted from Tumas Leida, even according to Reb Meir, because Rashi says it's not round. Okay, if that's the factor to consider, what if she's mapel, something which looks like a snake? Tehei Tmei Leida. There as well, it should have status. However, because the socket is also round. So he has eyes that resemble an Adam. Why not compare him? Okay, so maybe that's true. Who says we exempt the Nachash? Well, this is Nachash. Why didn't the Mishnah specify that she has Tumas Leida by shedding a Nachash? Eat on a Nachash. Well, maybe Nachash is in. The reason why the Mishnah did not mention it, because there would be room for confusion. Havamin, I would say, but Nachash is applicable to Reb Meir, except by Yetzira, maybe the Rabbanim, who disagree with Reb Meir. That's only limited to the snake, because it has no Lashon Yetzira alongside it. Aval Behema B'chaya, like Behema B'chaya, where there's Yetzira mentioned, which enables that linkage to the Adam, that a Shava, perhaps they don't disagree on that. Okay, so maybe it is true. Just as Reb Meir applies status to Behema B'chayva, maybe by Nachash as well, because of the similarity in the eyes. Says the Gemara, how could you say that the eye of a Behema is comparable to the eye of a human? We have a Mishnah by blemishes of B'chayr, where we find listed among those blemishes is if the animal's eyes resemble human eyes. Apparently, it's not meant to resemble. V'agabi mumin, regarding the blemishes, Ketanya, it's listed amongst the blemishes. Es shegalgal einoi agul kishel adam. So if his socket, the eye socket is round like a person, that's a problem. Akashi answers like this. Yeah, the socket should not be round, but the black part should. Haba uchma, the black part of the eye is meant to be round, all around. By the Adam, by the him, habitziria. Whereas by the socket, by the human it's round, but by the animal it's not meant to be round. Rabbi Yani Amar, here comes yet a third explanation. Why Rabbi Meir applies status to a woman who's mapel, behema chayva. Hainu, time Rabbi Meir. Let me give you the reason. And again, it relates to the eyes, but instead of the shape, we're speaking about the where they're located. Since by behema, by chaya, their eyes are situated forward, in front of their face, similar to a human being. as opposed to, Rashi says, opposed to the dogim, where their eyes are off to the side, and same thing with a snake. Asks the Gemara. So that applies to behema and chaya, I understand. What about fowl, birds? They don't have two eyes in the front. His eyes aren't on the front. The Talmud Meir considers it tummy. If she lays this, if she discharges this, Amar Abaye, you're right. All oifas are out. The only oifas that are considered for tumas leida, that's the karya v'kifufa, some sort of owl, type creatures, whose eyes are situated forward. Ubishar oifas loy. So you're telling me that even Rameh would agree by other oifas, they have no status because their eyes are not situated like a human. Meisi becomes a kashan Abaye who discounts oifas from tumas leida, even according to Rameh, Rabbi Chanina ben Antignas Aimer Nirin Divra Meir Vehema B'chaya. So I'll adopt Rameir's position that applies to tumas leida. She's mapal something which resembles a behema b'chai. But I'll take the Rabbanan's position by oifas. Apparently, oifas too are subject to machlekes. V'il divrei chacham ba'oifas. Says the Gemara, my oifas. Which birds was he talking about? Was he talking specifically about the owls? B'kari v'kifufa? So then, why would he adopt the chachamim's opinion by the owls and Rameir's opinion by the behemoths, if their eyes are situated in similar fashion? Why is it that when it comes to Behem V'chaya, over there he adopts Rameir's opinion? There is tumas leida. Why? Because of the eyes, and Holchas Lefneim Shalom, like a human. Well, Kari Kifufa Nami, the owls as well. Oh, apparently, when he says, I side with the Rabbanon and discount the birds, that's other birds. Apparently, even other birds are subject to machlekes. And even by the other birds, Rameir applies to tumas leida, unlike what Abaye told us, that it's limited to owls. Apparently Rameir disagrees on the other birds as well. Oh, hold it, says the Gemara. No, we have to revise the brisa and modify it in a way that will be consistent with what we said. The brisa is meant to be learned as well. It's missing some words. You read it like this: Rabbi Chanina and Tignosai. Niran divra meir behema v'chaya. Wouldn't the cover kifufa? Truth is, I adopted Rameir's opinion when it comes to behema v'chaya, even owls. Same thing. Because it's plausible to me this point that where the eyes are situated, that determines. But I go with the Chachamim. By other birds. Because guess what? There's no machlekes by the other birds. So the Chacham means even Rameh would agree to the Chacham when it comes to other birds, because they're lacking that human-like eye feature. Shaf Rabbi Meir only took his position when it comes to owls. But he agrees on the other birds. And this is consistent with Abaye's approach. In fact, we have a brisa that supports this point. That even Rameir would agree regarding other oifas who are lacking this eye feature. Batanya of a brisa, Amar Blazer of Tzaddik, Hampelas, Behema, V'chaya. So if she miscarries something which appears like a Behema V'chaya, does it activate the tumas leida process? It depends. L'divrei Rabbi Meir Vlad, according to Meir, has validity. U'divrei Chachamim, no, ain't Vlad. U'ba'oifos, now when it comes to oifos, that was Behema V'chaya. When it comes to the oifos category, tibodik, it has to be inspected. What does that mean? Lamante bodik. Why are we inspecting it? Who's speaking here? Lav l'divrei Meir, apparently, according to Rameir. The Amar tells us, well, even I'm only limited to karya v'kifufa, and only that. Shara ifas like other birds not. So you have to check which type it is. Amar Rav Achabed Ravika Loi. No, who says that's the correct understanding of the price? Tibadak l'Rabbanan. Perhaps it should be examined according to Rabbanan. The Amri karya v'kifufa in shara ifas loi. That They are matai by other birds, but are matami by the Kairi Kifufa. So perhaps Rab Meir applies his rule all across the board, all types of birds. It's the Rabbanon who make that distinction. Other birds not, but Kairi Kifufa, yeah. Now why? Why would they say that Kairi Kifufa have status? Why would it be different than other creatures, which are absolved? Why are they more unique? Why they have higher status than any other animal, behema v'chaya, which don't have status? The answer is because they have very specific features which are very distinctly human-like. Their cheeks. They have these jaws, these cheeks, ka'adam, which appear human-like. Right? They have these, vertical cheeks which resemble a human face. And that's unique to Kairi v'Kifufa. So therefore, even the Rabbanon would apply Tumas Leda there, which they wouldn't by other behemoths v'chayis. Okay, so bottom line, we have three ways to understand the machlekes. Between Rab Meir, who says that an issue is mapel behemah chay v'oif, there's Tumas Leda, versus the Rabbanon who say there's no Tumas Leda. One shot is Yitzira. You have Yitzira by behemah chay v'oif. Yitzira by the Adam, we make a linkage. We apply Tumas Leda over to the other items as well. We have second shot, that the shape, the eye shape, resembles the human eye. And then we have the third shot, also related to eyes, but not in terms of shape, rather in terms of positioning. The fneim, it's in the front of the face. And according to Abaye, even Rab Meir would only apply this to Karya v'Kifufa, who share that feature. Here comes an interesting question that Rabbi Yirmi asked Reb Zera. Soon the Gemara will tell us it was just meant to get him. Reb Zera was known to be extra strict regarding, living with the Churban Beis Hamikdash, living with that feeling of constant, mourning, would be very hesitant to break out and smile and laughter. And Rabbi Yirmi wanted to lighten him up a little bit. So he asked him a very unique question, hoping to get him, to chuckle a bit. Of course, within the context of learning and halacha, but it was still a pretty peculiar presentation. Here goes. Little Rab Meir, I have a question to ask of you. According to Rab Meir, the Amru says, Behema b'meish vlad ma'alyu. The fact that he applies Tumas Leda. If an isha is mapel a dmus behema, apparently, the behema b'meisha inside the mother, the human mother, has vlad status. To a certain extent, has child status. So in that case, I have a question. We know that a father can marry off a daughter. Right? The Torah authorizes the father to accept the kedushin, the ring, on account of the daughter, even if she's yet unborn. What if he paired her up with a chasna at this stage? I mean, it turns out that his wife, gave birth to this behema-looking creature, and he was already makabel kedushin while the mother was expecting. Does that kedushin take hold or not? Is this entity, does it have human status or not? According to our mayor, perhaps yes. Just like there's Tumas Leda that's considered a valid vlad, so perhaps she's considered an isha regarding kedushin. Kibol bo avia kedushin. Ma, what's the status of the kedushin? What's the point of asking this question? Tesis points out that we assume that she's not going to survive. It's not really relevant to herself. The question will be, so Reuben, who handed the father kedushin on account of this so-called daughter, what's his status regarding her sister? Typically, you don't marry a wife's sister. Well, it depends. If the kedushin took effect, then her sister is Achois Isha, and at Erva he can't approach her. But if the Kedushin has no validity, then he can go and approach the sister. Says the Gemara L'Meimer the Chaye. So hold it. She's certainly not going to live long term, Tesis points out. But is she even going to live a little bit, to the point that we have to discuss the sister, because we know that the prohibition against marrying a wife's sister is limited to the wife's lifetime. Here she's not surviving anyways. Considered a vlad regarding tumah, it's only because even though this particular entity won't survive, an animal-like creature coming from a human, it's not a surviving entity. So why do we give it status? Because its species has survivability. Right? We have this goat-looking creature. Well, goats in general survive, so that's what gives it status. But it in itself certainly has no chance of survival. So it was sort of a trivia question, which doesn't really have much practicality. And the reason why he even pursued it wasn't, in all seriousness, it was more to get him to Amar Bach Bar Yaakov. I'll tell you why he even presented the question. Adkan. All this endeavor, all this effort was just to get to Rav Zera to give a little chuckle, to get him besimcha a little bit. Haviyai Rabbi Yirmiyah, Rabbi Yirmiyah attempted to lead him on. Legichach. A bit of, laughter, but Rabbi Zera stood his ground and resisted it. He held that it's not the appropriate time in the Churban Beis Hamikdash, and he maintained his posture. Gufa. Okay, let's go back. Once we're on the case, let's go back to this statement. Amar B'dam Rav, le'amara Rav Meir. Even Rav Meir only applied 2 months later to the behema chai va'oif coming out of a human. Eloheil b'minim eskayim, because its type in general can survive. Goats survive, sheep survive, but this in itself will not survive. Amar Yeri Medifti. I'll even prove this to you from a Mishnah, that this behema-like creature, being born by a human Isha, doesn't really survive. Avananam Tanina. So we have a Mishnah back in Bechayros. There are 2 types of Bechayr, right? There's the Bechayr, firstborn, for the point of Pidin Haben. And then we have the firstborn regarding getting the double portion of the father's inheritance. And sometimes it comes together, but sometimes not. Sometimes you can have, he's a Bechayr regarding this and not regarding that. Because really, there are 2 aspects of firsthood. There is the Peta Rechem, first one that went through the system, came out of that's the Bechayr for the Kain, for the Pidin Haben. Regarding the Bechayr for the father's Yerusha, that more depends on father's emotional connection. So if it's a viable child, and right? So we have a Mishnah, Pelas, our story, she's Mapel Kimin, Behema Chai Va'oif. Now this first, born, is certainly not going to be considered Bechayr for inheritance, because there's not a chance of surviving, which is a prerequisite for Bechayr for Nachla. But technically he's the firstborn, so regarding the Pidin Haben requirement, that's it was him. And the one behind him will no longer be eligible for Pidin Haben. Right? Because, like we said, Pidin Haben depends on physically who came out first. And since the one behind him is number 2, and despite the fact that he's following a non-viable entity, who in itself doesn't have Pidin Haben, nevertheless, the second one is exempt from Pidin Haben. Vlad Ma'al Yehu. So the number 1, first one, the Min Behema Chai Va'oif, has status of Vlad, to the point that he exempts the one following him from Pidin Haben, the Rav Meir. Okay, so Rav Meir is in line with his opinion by us as well, that even though it does not have a human-like presentation, it has status of a Vlad, and it's considered Peta Rechem. But Chacham Eirim, they disagree. Ad Sheheba Mitzuras Adam has to have human-like features, human-like facial features. But in absence of those features, he's disregarded. It's not considered a birth. In which case, the one that follows him, he's considered firstborn regarding all matters. Mishnah continues. Pelas sandal. Suppose she sheds something called a sandal, solid like a mass. We learned this the other day. That's a fetus that somehow got crushed and his facial features got all squished. Or she releases this placenta, the sac, shfir, or this fetus shell, Murukam, whose limbs are somewhat discernible. Or you have a baby, unfortunately, had to be dismembered, I guess to save the mother's life, as he was being taken out. In all these cases, these are considered births to some extent, and therefore the one behind him is not eligible for Pidin Haben. Haba Achra, the one that comes following this one, Bechar L'Nachla, is firstborn regarding the father giving him double inheritance. Because as we said, the first one doesn't count for that purpose, because he's not viable, he's not going to survive. But the second one is not considered Bechar for the Kain regarding Pidin Haben, because Peter Rechem already occurred on the first experience. Okay, end quote. Says the Gemara, how are we going to prove from here that an Isha is mapel, behema chayv oif, that has no chance of survival, like we said before? Because if you're going to say otherwise, that he has a chance of survival, so why does Mishnah say that the one behind him is considered firstborn regarding inheritance? Why? Why is the second one a b'char l'nachal? First one is a survivor. He's living entity. He's viable. No. You can't prove from here that the first one can't survive. Maybe he could survive, unlike what we said before. And still, I'll explain to you why. The one that comes after him, he will get a double portion. You know why? Because like we said before, Pishnayim for the Bechor, Father granting double portion is sort of something which he identifies with. It is a birth which would trigger mourning if there would be a termination of that life. Not so when it's an animal-looking creature. Father doesn't relate to it emotionally. He wouldn't mourn on its passing. Therefore, there's no inheritance, no double inheritance. Shani Hassam, there is different regarding Yerusha. There needs to be an element of emotional connection. The Pasuk says, Reishis Oina. We learn Oina is Lashon of Aninos, mourning. Misha Liba Dava Olav. Only a child whose father would be saddened upon his passing. He's called a Bechor regarding Yerusha. Yatza says, opposed to this behema-looking creature, Shane, Liba Dava Olav, father doesn't really connect to it, he wouldn't mourn, and therefore is not eligible for Pishnai. Okay, an interesting discussion here regarding the Isha's Mapel, the Behema Chayv Oiv. We explained that he's not really a survivor, but the min is miskayim, that's why he has status. We try to bring a right from the Mishnah, which didn't really, really pan out. Boy minei Rav Ada bar Ava, he had a question me Abaye. Back to the Shaila Rav Meir, the Amor says, Behema meisha vlad malyu. Okay, so this behema-looking creature coming out of the mother has status. Vlad malyu. Let's reverse the story. What will happen if it's Adam b'mei behema mai? A behema gives birth to an Adam. So shall we say, just like Adam giving birth to behema is considered her vlad, likewise, a behema carrying something which appears like a human also has vlad behema status. Now, what's the point of asking this question? Behema doesn't have halachic, obligations of 2 months later. So what's the point of asking? What's the point of asking? Can we eat this entity? So, if you discover, if you found you shechted the mother animal, you discovered this human-like looking entity in her. So typically, it's called a ben pekua, right? If you shech the mother animal, you find that unborn fetus, you can eat it without shechita. It's sort of covered by the mother's shechita. In this case as well, even though it's dissimilar to the mother in looks, considered her vlad. Considered like a behema. You can eat it. And the Meir explains that only considering when you found it inside, but once it's born, he said, of course you can't eat it because it's not going to survive. It's like a treif, or you can't eat it. Okay, so you discovered inside the mother. What's the status? Says the Gemara, I have an answer for you. Why can't we resolve this question based on Rabbi Yechanan's statement? Rabbi Yechanan, he spoke about a similar case. Not you found a human inside, but you found a bird-like creature inside a cow. You shechted a cow, but you find a dove-looking thing. Asur can't eat it. Apparently, since there's a mismatch in terms of appearance, in terms of species, it's not covered by the mother shechita. It's like a foreign entity in there. Well, it's worse off. Hachiyashta, way worse there. Hasam, over there, it doesn't have animal-like features. It doesn't have, hooves and legs. It doesn't look like an animal. Like process ika, like parsika. It doesn't have the split hooves, process, and even a single hoof. It doesn't have properly configured legs. It's not like an animal. Like parsika, but here by the animal we discovered a human-like, feature inside. And the process like a true. It's not split hooves like like a cow, but it has some similarity in terms of its configuration. Parsamik, it has a single, hoof, a single leg, so to speak, and maybe it's close enough. And it's considered part of the mother entity, and you could eat it through the shechita of the mother. So we sort of left it hanging. This is all Rameir speaking. Behema and Isha is considered somewhat of a vlad to the extent that there's too much NIDAH, etc., etc. We had several reasons for it. We defined it. We explained it. Betuv Talmud Bavli. Now the Shitas Chacham, they disagree. No, unless it looks like a human, we discount it. Says the Gemara, we have to tweak their discussion even further. We have to understand that their machlekes isn't so extreme like we thought. Amar of Yirmiyah, Barab, Amar, Hakol Moedim all agree. Even Rameir would discount it in the following case. If they're so extreme in their appearance, they're so different in the way they look. Hakol Moedim all agree. Gufay Taish upon of Adam. Adam, on the one hand, if the behema-like entity discovered in the that was discharged by the mother, the general body, configuration is of a goat. Upan of Adam with a face, which is the most critical, pivotal, feature, appears human-like. Then all agree it's an Adam. It certainly has human status, and there's too much NIDAH. On the other hand, the body looks like an Adam, but the face like a taish, like a goat. Of course, it's nothing. Even Rameir would agree that it's not worth it. Machlekes is somewhere in the middle. He's partly resembling a person. He has some human features. His face has a human-like look, but only on sort of on one side. One eye looks human, the other one looks like a behema. Rameir says, well, that's enough. As long as it's partially like an Adam, that's enough. And the behema side sort of blends into the tzuras Adam. And half a face is enough. The Chacham called tzuras Adam is to be fully human looking. The whole face. Now, some Mepharshim explain that this is actually a new approach to the machlekes. In contrast to what we had earlier, that Rameir holds Yitzira, that behema in all cases has status because in itself has chashivas, has status because of the connection to the Yitzira of the Adam. Here we have a different approach that even Rameir would concede that it has to have some human-like features to be given status. So according to Rameir, partial, half is enough. The whole face, called tzuras Adam. Amrloi, le Rav Yirmiyah be'Abba. So the Chacham responded to him, Va'if Chatanya. You're saying it like this. We have a brisa going the other way, just the opposite. Rameh Kol Tzuras. Rameir says that all you need is kol, a little bit. Even some element of human feature is enough. You don't have to have half the face. And you say half. The Chacham Oimrim mi tzuras. Chacham say it has to be mi, has to be a substantial portion of the face, half the face. So according to this brisa, we up it one notch. According to Rameir and according to Rabbanan. According to Rameir, even a little human-like feature is enough to get to Masled. You don't have to have half the face. And according to Chachamim, half the face is enough. You don't need the full. Amar Lahu, Tanya. He says, okay, if you found the brisa like that, fine. But my version was from Rav. That was his. So bottom line, we have basically three, levels to speak of. A minor element of Adam, more substantial, half the face, and completely human-like looking. So again, according to Rav, Rameir says half the face, Chacham say full. According to the brisa, Rameir says even some human element, and according to Chachamim, needs to be at least halfway, half the face appearing like an Adam. Amar Rav Yirmiyah, Bar Ab, Amar Rabbi Yechanan. We speak about facial features. What's included? He quotes Rabbi Yechanan. The ears are not included. That's not, part of the actual face. Metzach, the forehead, Vagvinim, the eyebrows, Vayinayim, the eyes, Velasasis, and the cheeks, the Gabas HaZaken, the area of the chin. Ad Yukum Ke'echad. They all have to resemble a human face. But the ears are not required. Rava Amar, he quotes a Chacham by the name of Chasa. He says, you don't need both. Metzach v'hagav, one eyebrow, v'ayin, one eye, v'leses. So basically, one side of the face has to be human-like. The eyebrow there, the eye there, the cheek, the gabas hazaken, one side of the chin. Ad yukum ke'achas. Until they're all human-like in appearance, only then does it count. But you don't need both sides of the face. Really, there's no machlekes between Chasa and Rabbi Yechanan. They're just sort of adopting the opinions that we discussed before. Ha, Commander Amar, called Suras. So Rabbi Yechanan says they need the full face, both sides. That's according to the opinion. The Chacham require the full face. On which Rabbi Yechanan adds, you should know that the ears are not required. Commander Amar Mitzuras. Whereas Chasa, who spoke about one-sided features, that's regarding the other shita which says Mitzuras, that you need to have half the face. Right? So to which he adds and explains exactly what that means. The ears are not included, so they're not really arguing with each other, just defining the opinions that we had before. Maybe it comes to kasha. Tzuras panim she'amru, when Chacham require the facial features to be human-like, I feel parts of echanam tzurfin, even one feature in his face is enough. The eye, or the eyebrows, right? You don't need them all together, chutz min oizn, except for the ears, which are not included at all. L'meimro, the mechad nami sagi. So you mean to say that just one feature is enough. You don't need even half the face like Chasa had presented. So we thought we had a kasha on Chasa, we don't need that much. Says Abaye. No. The Bryce was going the other way. It's coming to tell you what's critical. Called Suras. So this Bryce was going like the Shita that you need the full face. The Bryce is saying, even if there's something missing, one of the features are out, parts of Echad Tzufin is missing, is not human-like, that's critical, and in this case it doesn't count. So it's not related to what Chasa was saying. Chasa was going according to the opinion that half the face is sufficient, and he came and explained exactly what's included in the required features, and the eye, the eyebrow, right? Meitzach, the Govan, the Ayin, right? But not the ears. Whereas this Bryce was going the other direction, that Chachamim Amomach, they need a full face, and even if there's one thing missing, not that one thing's enough, even if there's one thing missing, it wouldn't work. By the same way, another teretz that we can give to resolve this apparent kind, Lo'ilam Kamanda Amma Mitzuras. This Bryce is going like the position that the Chacham only require Mitzuras, half the face. Umay echad. When the Brisa spoke about afilu parts of echad, not to say one, pick your choice, one feature is sufficient. One of each pair, that's what it means. Which amounts to half the face. Which is exactly what Chassid told us as well. Half the face includes the eyebrow on that side, the eye on that side, the cheek, etc. Okay, so bottom line is like this. According to this new approach in the Machlekes Rameir and Chachamim, it's not like Rameir applies status to any animal-looking creature. It has to have some human resemblance. Chacham are not satisfied with that. They need more. And we have two ways to explain. Either Rameir requires even just a little bit. Chacham requires a substantial, portion to be half the face to have that. And the other approach was more machmir. Rameir requires half, and Rabbanan require 100% to give it human status. And the mother will be to trigger tumas leda on the mother. Okay, one more piece. Amarava nivra ba'ayin achas ubiyarech echad. Let's say the birth happened, and you see just one eye. You see one yarech, one thigh, one leg. So it depends. Minat sad. If it's off to the side, as it typically is, so the mother is tummy to masleda because it's like a partial person. Be'emtza imatoyref, the eye is smack in the middle where it doesn't belong, or the yarech is in the middle. It's not a surviving entity. It's not an adam. It doesn't have the tzura of an adam. Amarava. So imatoyr amarava vishtei nakav. Another example of the veshet. The food pipe was punctured. Imatmeya. The mother has tumas leda. And Varshim explained because even though it has treifa status, it's not going to survive, but Rabbi holds that treifa can survive for a while, so therefore it has human status, and there's tumas leda. Vishte autumn, if the veshet is plugged up, there's no chance of surviving. It's a failed birth, it's not a surviving entity. Immaterial, no tumas leda. It doesn't have validity. Okay, let's recap today's daf. We spoke about an isha that's mapel. Rameir says there's tumas leda. Rabbanan say there is no tumas leda. We have three ways to explain Rameir, either because of Yetzirah, because of the shape of the eyes, or the positioning of the eyes. We had a discussion whether Rameir, when he applies tumas leda to eifos, is it limited to only the owl-like entities which have that positioning of the eyes, and not to the other eifos. We had an attempt to get Reb Zera to chuckle a little bit, which proved to be unsuccessful. And we discussed different variations of this phenomena. We discussed the Adam b'mei be'ema, what the status would be. And then we went further into the discussion between Rameir and Rabbanan, that in fact we need some human features in order for the Vlad to qualify. The question is to what extent. Okay, all the best to Psuras Tevis and Atzlacha Rabbah.